Now, typically what we have here locally are very young children, newborn to toddler age. And then our older kids, our teenagers, are usually placed out of the area. They're the ones that are not here. So we get a problem when there's a volunteer who wants to have that interaction with the older child, but they want to do it here. So it's kind of like a Tetris puzzle. We're trying to match up demographics with what the volunteer wants and trying to make that work.
A volunteer may volunteer at CASA Red River in Wichita Falls, and this office covers the four counties, which are
Wichita, Archer, Clay, and Montague.
There you go. I knew I would fumble all over the place trying to remember those. But even then, your child moves very often in foster care. They're in the system. Once they're in the system, a child may be moved from one place to another. Say they have a foster home in Wichita Falls, that's just terrific. I mean, frankly, those are my favorite. They're everyone's favorite, but they don't always stay in Wichita Falls. They can get moved. Something can happen that means that now, rather than be in Wichita Falls, they're moved to Flower Mound or to Fort Worth or, Tyler or, depending on what happens, they could even get shot down to Houston. That's a reality. Now, the requirements for a volunteer when it comes to seeing and visiting with your child varies depending upon the distance.
Right. Yeah. If they're here in Wichita Falls, we want them to see a minimum of every month. If they see them every week, that's great. That even increases the rapport with the volunteer and the child. As our children are placed further away, the frequency of seeing them face-to-face is less. However, every month, if we still ask them to either make a phone call, see them on Zoom, something that they can still have a conversation with that child. And we understand that not being face-to-face is always can be a barrier when our children are placed far away. But, that's just the reality of what we're dealing with. We have about half our kids are placed at least an hour away.